Hey, I am Sarah, and I'm super excited to share with you a faith-based message with a small and simple yoga practice that you can do in just a couple minutes. The theme today is courage to do the work, and it's inspired by the book of James, specifically James chapter 1, verse 5, where it says, "If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him." I love this scripture personally. I also love studying this scripture in history, specifically with a boy who I shouldn't say boy, I should say teenager. He was 14. It was the year 1820, and he took this scripture to his heart courageously and acted upon it. There's more about his story in a beautiful video called The First Vision. His name is Joseph Smith, so check that out this week if you haven't already. But there's three things from this scripture that I feel are so applicable to us as individuals in everyday life. And it's three parts of courage. And the first one is that asking God something is an active question. Because I think there's a huge part, at least I know of myself, where we stay confused or we stay in doubt because we're trying to figure it all out ourselves. And we're trying to work through it and be the problem solver ourselves without kind of opening that pathway to God and his wisdom and his perspective and how he might magnify what it is that we're trying to do. The second one is listening. I think listening to what God says to us after we ask is an act of courage, because that can be hard, right? To kind of stay present with ourselves and keep the mind open in a space where we're listening for his wisdom. And the third part of courage is to act. Maybe we hear something and it's stretching for us or uncomfortable. In fact, most of the time I feel like that's the truth. But going and acting on that is an act of courage. I absolutely love what Judith Lasater shares about courage. She says that faith and courage are like cousins. And I feel that to my bones. Like if I'm taking a step with courage, I feel like faith is in my backpack, because the two go hand in hand. So we're gonna take a few minutes and enjoy this yoga practice of blending that courage principle with the mind, the body, and just letting ourselves get really present. And we'll start on the edge of the mat today. You actually don't need a mat for this. You can do it anytime, any place that works for you. And what we're looking at here is drawing the feet together today. So toe heel, those toes and feet together. And before we offer any movement in the body, take one hand on the heart, that right hand over to the heart, release the left fingertips to the earth, close the eyes, and just feel the heartbeat. See if you can feel that heart beating. See if you can notice the vibrations, the sensations of that heart. Really internal with your listening, and see if you can just listen to what that heartbeat might sound like. We'll go ahead and let those right fingertips fall to the earth, and see if you can still feel that heartbeat without having the hand there. And then maybe loosening any of those areas that might be carrying tension. Letting them soften, relax, and adjust. Keeping the eyes closed, take the hands to heart center, and gently just lift the toes and place them back onto the earth. Notice their presence and awareness. Put all of the mind and thought on those toes and the energy of the entire foot With those eyes closed, the hands at heart center, we'll begin with our courage walk, which is taking the heel of one foot right against the toes of the other foot. So as if we were walking on a tightrope, we line up those heels to the toes. With the eyes closed, we take that step. And we're working ourselves to the edge of the tightrope, which is the end of the mat. Gently stepping, keeping those eyes closed as much as they want to open, and make sure that we edge ourselves exactly right. We're going to move with courage, a little bit of faith, holding on to that trust, to just let that next step guide us. And then we'll come together, both feet. Now, I'm opening my eyes, I look down and I chuckle a little bit because I moved a little bit crooked. I'm on the very corner edge of my mat coming off of it. Who knows where you ended up, but it's just beautiful to let that step happen one at a time. And notice the vulnerability that comes up. Notice the conversations that come up in our minds of just open the eyes, this is not a big deal. Or I often have thoughts of, why am I doing this? You know, and I think that all of those things, that wrestle that the mind creates, even in this little experience on the mat, is completely applicable to when we have those experiences with God. So take that in with trust, knowing that you will get to the edge of the mat okay, and take those experiences with that step of courage, one step at a time. We don't need to know all the way to the end, it's just that next step. So from here, another beautiful courage-based pose that I love is tree pose. And I love tree pose also because it connects us to the divine, right? The creation, it connects us to that place of stillness and strength that emulates through the beauty and wisdom of trees. So coming into tree pose, however it is for you, maybe it's connected on the earth, maybe it's wrapping near that calf. We avoid the knee joint itself, and maybe we connect above the knee joint. But in today's practice, we're taking those fingertips, interlacing and drawing them towards the sky. And again, coming into tree pose could be a beautiful 2-minute action that we just step into in the day to just expand and open and remind ourselves of our willingness that we have within us to do the work. Maybe we just remind ourselves of that word courage. Maybe we just remind ourselves that faith can hang out in that backpack. Can be the cousin hand in hand interlaced. Courage in our left, faith in our right. We may even invite ourselves to look up. Again, noticing that when we take that next redirection of our eyes, sometimes in looking up, it makes us more wobbly, a little more unsure. But it also helps us to ground, encourages us to dig deeper into those roots and use those stabilizers that ultimately strengthen from within, bringing us to a capacity that we may not have felt otherwise. So shake that out. And for all things balance, so if we have this 2-minute practice, maybe we do 1 minute tree on one side and then we take 1 minute tree on the other side. Beautiful to just weave in throughout the day, maybe set a little alarm to just remind ourselves to come into tree for just a couple moments. Feel that grounding, opening space, guiding us upwards. Palms towards the sky, open and ready to receive. Hearts are open. And as we're forcing our mind to keep us from falling, right? I mean, this is a physical action, but it's also requiring that mental capacity. It's a way of training our mind It's a way of managing our mind instead of our mind just managing us. So we come into that proactive space, putting all of our focus and energy right here. And then release. Shake that out. All right, I hope you enjoy finding ways to bring those simple practices into your week this week, and have fun with courage to do the work. Thanks so much.